Good evening. Welcome to the October 16th, 2017 Jurupa Unified School District Board of Education meeting. Roll call, please.
President Garcia.
Here.
Trustee Char. Here. Trustee Bradford.
Here.
Trustee Ortega.
Here.
Trustee Mendez absent. Natalie Zepeda. Austin Van Over. Kyle Gonzalez absent.
Thank you. Mr. Blake, would you please lead us in the flag salute? Thank you, Mr. Blake. Mrs. Chard, will you lead us with an inspirational comment?
Sorry, I had it up and it disappeared while we were saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh my gosh. Well. I can't find it. Yes. I'm sorry, Robert. I had one. And it disappeared. Let me go back. See if I can find it. I can't. Come on, come on. Oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. Found it. Sorry about that. This is a thought written by Maria Gibbs, who is an actress. She was born in 1923. I truly believe that everything we do and everyone that we meet is put in our path for a purpose. There are no accidents. We're all teachers. If we're willing to pay attention to the lessons we learn, trust our positive instincts, and not be afraid to take risks or wait for some miracle to come knocking at our door. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chard. Mrs. Elzig, do we have any reports from closed session? Thank you. Welcome 2017-2018 student board members. Mr. Deshawn.
Good evening, young lady and young gentlemen. We're happy to have you here. Let's see, why don't we start with Jurupa Valley High School, Natalie?
Good evening, President Garcia, members of the board, Mr. Duchan, and Cabinet. These couple of weeks and weeks to come will be quite busy for us Jaguars. This month of October, we are doing something new. We call it Socktober. Socktober is when we donate new socks to our second period class, and all the socks that we collect as a school we donate to our local homeless shelter to help our community. On Thursday, October 5th, we had one of our first Pink Out games. It was located at Rubidoux High School, and we played against Patriot High School. The football game began at 7 p.m., and our schools gathered together to support our teams. On Friday, October 13th, we had our second Pink Out game, and we also had our freshman tailgate. Our Pink Out game was a home game, and it began at 7 p.m. But before the game started, we gave a moment of silence to remember those who have sadly passed away due to cancer. We also had the football players from both teams create a circle in the middle of the field, and we had our cancer survivors from both schools go into the middle of the circle, and we cheered on for them. We also raised money for cancer by selling Pink Out shirts to the students and faculty members and Pink Out merchandise at the game. From all the money that we raised, we donated all to cancer. Our college and career kickoff day is October 19th on a Thursday. The point of a college and career kickoff day is to try getting more students prepared and give them more knowledge about colleges. We want to promote students to try and look into and apply to these colleges or get them prepared for what comes after high school. Our Red Ribbon Week is coming up as well. Red Ribbon Week is October 23rd through the 27th, and we try to prevent students from doing drugs. It is the largest campaign that is against drugs. And we are also having a spirit week for it. So Monday would be Superhero Day, and it stands for Standing Against Drugs. Tuesday is Wear Red Day, and it stands for loving yourself and being drug-free. Wednesday is Wear Pink Day, and it stands for supporting cancer. Thursday is Meme Day, and it stands for laughing in the face of drugs. And Friday we wear blue because it is our blue hawk game, which is also our last home football game of the season. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Good evening, esteemed board members. Our PSAT testing went well last week, with the majority of our juniors having taken it. Thanks to you, those who had completed their A through G requirements and were on course to graduate took their test for free. Friday was our Ultimate Warrior Lunch. During the Ultimate Warrior Lunches, we recognized students who have near perfect attendance and C's or better on their first 6-week progress report by giving them an extended lunch and some free snacks to eat. Last Friday, we had over 300 students who were recognized for this achievement. As of Thursday, our girls volleyball team remains undefeated with a 7-0 record in league. Both volleyball and tennis are in their second round of league, and football and cross country are deep into league play as well. Avid has begun preparing and setting up for their annual haunted house. It is always a great turnout and will be open from October 27th to the 30th. Also, this Thursday, 10/19 at 10:19, is the Great California Shakeout. We will begin by simulating the procedures during the event of an earthquake, followed by our evacuation into our football field. This Friday, the 20th, Jostens is coming to Patriot High School for our first senior graduation assembly of the year, where we will begin talking to all the seniors about graduation and how to prepare for it. Thank you for your time, and this concludes my report.
Thank you, Natalie. Austin. Okay, next on to recognition. First item, recognize best of the best for August and September. Mr. Brooks.
Good evening. It gives me great pleasure tonight to present to you the best of the best winners and honorable mentions for August and September. So our committee took many nominations from around the district, and it is such an honor to recognize these individuals, and I will ask each of them to come forward as I call their names. So our first recipient tonight is Frank Valadez. Frank is a custodial specialist in maintenance and operations, and he was nominated by staff throughout the district for being such an incredibly hardworking and supportive employee. As you know, we have construction and modernization projects taking place throughout the district, and over the summer this required the relocation or movement of many classrooms. Frank stepped up and did everything he could to ensure that these classes were ready for the start of the school year, moving furniture, boxes, and supplies from room to room and site to site. His hard work has continued as the school year has begun, and everyone who has needed to call upon his services knows that he performs every job in a professional, positive, and quick manner. Thank you, Frank, for being a hardworking and dedicated staff member who goes above and beyond in all you do. Congratulations for being recognized as one of Jurupa's best. Thank you for all you do. Our next recipient is Sabu Thrower. Sabu is a computer support technician in the technology department. In his responsibilities out at the school sites, he goes above and beyond to meet the needs of teachers, students, and the staff that he works with, specifically helping teachers to ensure that they have the technology they need to work with their students in the classroom. One recent example shows what a positive impact his work has on our students. Sabu recently presented for what's known as the Dragon Tech Club at West Riverside Elementary. In his presentation, he showed students different college and career paths within their computer science field and gave them hands-on experience with fun and engaging technology activities. He inspired West Riverside students and provided them with a unique, enriching, and fun opportunity. And that's just one example of the great work he does as one of Jurupa's best of the best. Thank you, Sabu, and congratulations on your recognition tonight. Thank you very much. Our next recipient is Nancy Croxton. Nancy is a science teacher at Mission Middle School. She's one of those teachers who brings the passion and the energy for teaching that makes her students want to learn. Her creativity, scientific curiosity, and commitment to learning are such an asset for the students at Mission. In addition to her regular duties, Ms. Croxton takes the time to mentor students through the Science Club. It's worth noting that this is an after-school science club and can include as many as 40 students who are excited to learn more about science and to participate in experiments and science-based field trips. She's truly an inspiration for both her students and her colleagues. Congratulations, Nancy, on your recognition, and thank you for being such a dedicated, hardworking member of our Jurupa family. And our final recipient tonight is Michelle Rodriguez. Michelle is a functional skills teacher at Patriot High School. She's a model of a calm, encouraging, and dedicated teacher. Her demeanor and warm approach is an inspiration to everyone who works with her. In working with her colleagues and students, she brings a true team spirit to everything that she does, extending her positive attitude to every single student who enters her classroom. Overall, she has created an environment that empowers her students to be the best that they can be. The demands of her job are high, and she meets those demands with grace, care, and professionalism. It is such a pleasure to have Michelle represented as one of the best of the best. Thank you, Michelle, for all you do, and congratulations for being recognized. So at this time, I would like to recognize also briefly those employees selected for honorable mention. If they're here, I would ask that they please stand at their seats when I call their name. Jessica Asensio, translator clerk typist at the Assessment Center. Cynthia Clark, library technician at Jurupa Valley High School. Wendy Hart, grounds worker and maintenance and operations. Ignacio Lopez, custodian at Ina Arbuckle Elementary. Rebecca Ludden, print technician in the print shop. Sharon McDonough, career center clerk at Patriot High School. Yesenia Quintero, elementary media center clerk at Pedley Elementary. Cynthia Veeman, library technician at Jurupa Middle School. Beatrice Ferrone, a teacher at Van Buren Elementary. Jessica Schmidt, a teacher at Van Buren Elementary. Thank you, and congratulations to all of our staff who are recognized tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks, and thank you, Frank, Sabu, Michelle, and Nancy for your commitment to our students. Really appreciate it. Okay, next, recognize funding for after-school education and safety program. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. CDE recently notified the district that funding for the after-school education and safety program has been awarded in the amount of $1,793,448.70. This program is conducted at 13 elementary schools and all 3 of our middle schools.
Thank you. And the next one, recognize Jurupa Valley High School Race to Submit Award. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. And I know we have some Jurupa Valley staff members here. Can you please stand as we recognize your hard work? So there's a lot of research out there that shows that if students complete the free application for federal student aid and realize how much money they can truly receive towards a college education, they're much more likely to go to college. And as a result, our COE has sponsored the Race to Submit, which is the goal to increase the number of, or the percentage of FAFSA completions. Jurupa Valley High School had 307 students submit FAFSA this year, an 86% senior completion rate, which earned the school, once again, countywide accolades. Congratulations to JVHS, who won its second Race to Submit award in the last 3 years.
Thank you. And then finally, recognize 2017 Employee and Family Picnic Committee. Mr. DeShawn.
Thank you, President Garcia. Well, If you weren't there Saturday, you missed out. Somebody told me a phrase, it's FOMO, fear of missing out. So if you are not there next year, you will certainly suffer that. The picnic was absolutely wonderful. I just have to say, it's so nice to see people with their children, their husbands, their wives. People bring their parents, grandparents bring their children, and we had, Ms. Collins told me she thought maybe 1,000, so I like to exaggerate a little. So I'm sure there were at least 2,500 people there. But there was enough fun for 2,500 people. If you didn't go, you missed Mr. Garcia tending the animals in the petting zoo and a couple of furry little chickens and great food, lots of bouncy little kids and parents chasing bouncy little kids. It's really fun to see our staff who are so sophisticated during the day, our teachers who stand so, stoutly in front of their classes chasing a 2-year-old. It's really just wonderful, and it's nice to see all the young families in our district. So special thanks. This is a picnic that is put on entirely by our employees, sponsored by our vendors. We had over $12,000 in donations from our vendors. The picnic committee, and this is just like the tip of the iceberg of who helps with this. But Mike Bynum, is Mike here? Mike's here. Denise Collins, we'll come back to Denise. Misty DeVore, Misty, are you here? No. Carolyn Dodd, Michelle Erickson, Betty Leach, and her husband Richard Leach, and the Midnight Illusion, who played twice that day, right? Yeah. Apparently Richard had a birthday and he had to perform for it. Jeff Lewis, Javier Trevino, Daniel Whitman. I called Denise the queen of the picnic because she's just the event planner for the organization, but the work that goes into it, it's amazing how much how much work fun can be, but it just is a wonderful event, and it's just really nice to see the families that are part of the family of Jurupa. So thank you to you all. It was wonderful.
And next year we have a surprise guest.
We have a surprise guest next year? I don't know who that surprise guest. You're not going to tell me? You're going to do it in front of all these people. You're doing this.
To put it on their calendar
Okay.
for October 13th next year.
All right. October 13th, surprise guest.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Deshawn. Let's start with you, board member comments. Let's start with you, Ms. Ortega.
Well, congratulations to all of you who came up here and received. Sorry, my voice is leaving and coming back, so I have to kind of scream. And I also wanted to piggyback on the picnic, the family picnic. I took my nephews and my niece, and they just enjoyed themselves so much. And as we were driving back home, they're like, "Can we come again?" And it's like, "No, it's only once a year, so you have to wait a whole new." "No, I want to come again." So that's how much fun they had. And again, I always try to speak to our little ones about engagement, and that was the best example of our community coming again and being engaged with what the resources around the community and just having fun. A lot of us saw each other, in casual wear, and it's like that's probably one of the only times that we're gonna, we talked about that we're gonna see each other without ties and being more formal. So it was really nice downtime for family, and to getting to know a lot of the family, that our staff's family members as well. And I have other things, but I'll leave them towards the end, so we won't take a lot of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortega. Mrs. Bradford.
First, I want to say to Austin and Natalie, I'm proud of you for being here. Thank you very much. I've been busy. I've got a lot of stuff to tell you about. Congratulations again to our best of the best, the recipients and the nominees. And I also want to say congratulations to Thomas Warner for his big epic run over at Ina Arbuckle to call attention to the 100 Mile Club. I did 2 laps with him in the afternoon when I think he had already gone 40 miles, and I was having trouble keeping up, and I said it was because I was in the wrong shoes, but let's see. And I met students from other school districts who were there to log their time. I visited Palm Avenue Academy of Music with Superintendent Duchamp and toured with Principal Mrs. Delamotte. And boy, is that a cool place to be. It made me wish I was little and enrolled there. I was invited by Marisela Tafoyo to visit at the School Readiness Center, which I also very much enjoyed. I attended the Riverside County Office of Education Conference with the cabinet and other trustees, where we received several awards. And let me see, Riverside Chamber of Commerce with our district leadership, the luncheon to visit with State Senator, U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein. And I hope, I don't know if it would need a board resolution or just following up with her office to say, I hope the federal government will help with its promise of 40% of the costs of special education. And I forgot to mention at the last board meeting, I had attended the meet and greet with Del Sol Academy Principal Mrs. Stevens on September 19th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bradford. Mrs. Chard.
Well, I want to congratulate our best of the best and wish the 4 winners tonight well at the end of the year. See who gets that special prize. And thank you for our 2 student board members for coming tonight. I know it's hard to get out of your studying and all that, and when you need to leave, just go away. Go do your studying so you can graduate this year. Congratulations to Jurupa Valley High School for their FAFO award. I think that's really good because I know to get those papers in is a lot of work, and to do that, I think they need to challenge the other high schools. The other guys better come up and see if they can beat them, or they're going to win again next year maybe. Also, I'm glad to see the funding for after school. We are the winners, and the students are the winners when we get that funding. That is really, really good for them, for the parents. It keeps kids off the streets, gives them something to do, gives them help with their homework when a parent might not be able to do it until later. So there's a lot of advantages to that. I also attended the family picnic just for a short time and enjoyed seeing everyone there. There were a lot of door prizes, and people left early, so I hope you pick up your door prizes. Don't forget to check and see if you won, because they had a lot of them. There was a lot of good information. There were some tables set up, and the craft alley was just fantastic. It was a mess, but it was really cool because they had all kinds of things for the kids to make. They had little live pumpkins that are live pumpkins, real pumpkins that they could decorate with faces and glue them on and make them characters, and they had masks they could make, and I saw a lot of little kids wearing their masks and carrying their pumpkins around very carefully, so they were really proud of that. So I know that when I took my grandchildren a couple of years ago, they really had a good time doing that. I wish they'd let the adults do some of that. I kind of like to do some of those. Also, I attended with other trustees and Mr. Duchamp and Mr. Hansen and Mr. Dobrowski, and then several other people. We attended the Models of Excellence at our COE presented, and I attended the one on the youth court, which we received an award for, and that is an outstanding program. One of the gentlemen that is on those at the presentation said that we have the best one in the state of California. That our kids are so good at handling the youth court. They just do it perfectly. The lawyer was there and he said the same thing, that our kids are well prepared, well versed for this, and it really does work. Some of the kids come back even though they've been up in front of the court. When you're being judged by your peers, that's I think that gives you a second thought. If you have adults talking to you sometimes as a child, it doesn't sink in until your peers are telling you that you're doing something wrong and that you need to straighten up. And our success rate has been very good. My granddaughter has been on it as a judge, and she's really enjoying it. She can hardly wait till the next one comes up because she's enjoying working with the kids and learning a lot about each other and about things that affect your life as you're growing up and as a child. I also attended the Washington report put on by the Chamber of Commerce with Diane Feinstein. She had some very good comments to make. It was really too short for anyone to get in and really talk to her. She just barely had enough time to talk about specific things. But I too hope that she will be able to come through with our funding. And the facilities subcommittee meeting I'll report on later on with my committee meeting. I did attend the State of the City of Jurupa with several of us, the board members attended, and that was really something. If you have not been to that before, it doesn't cost anything, I don't think, to go, but it gives you an idea of what's going on around the community and how many people are actually coming together to make our community better, to make our city better. They gave us a lot of information and new things that they had started, some have been completed and some have not. So if you get a chance to go next year, you really should go visit some of the city council meetings too, because we work with them, they work with us. A lot of community groups work together in this area. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chard. I just want to follow up a little bit what Mrs. Chard said about Student Youth Court, and congratulations to the team, Ms. Ilsa Garza-Gonzalez and team, for the nomination on the Golden Bill for that. And I've said this before, as adults, we kind of always tend to rush to punishment, and with the students, they really care about their peers, and they look at constructive ways to offer feedback and that type of stuff. So, congratulations again, Ms. Ilsa Garza-Gonzalez, and congratulations again to the best of the best. Thank you for all you do. We really appreciate your hard work, and we're happy to recognize you at a board meeting. Also had an opportunity to attend the family picnic, and it was fantastic, as everyone has spoken. And the big hit was the arts and crafts, and but a great time. I was there the whole time, and there were tons of folks there, and I did have an opportunity to volunteer in the petting zoo, which is always fun. So had an opportunity to stop by Mission Bell today. Just on the way home, I saw some of the construction there, and thank you, Dr. Hansen, for your team's efforts there. Starting to look good. And I also had an opportunity last week on Friday to visit Indian Hills and their fall festival. So that was a great opportunity to see a lot of families coming out. It was a safe place to kind of trick or treat and have a good time. And congratulations to Jurupa Valley High School, the Race to Submit. Great job on that. I know it's very important, especially I have 3 kids in college, so I know how important that is. So thank you for all your efforts there. And that's all I have for tonight. So moving on to public verbal comments. First card I have here is Mr. Paul Swan Van Lint.
Hi, everybody. I just wrote this speech, so please forgive me if it doesn't turn out too well. And thank you all for being here. First, I'd just like to say I'd like to express my appreciation for the beginning of the development of a discussion, a friendly discussion between the Board of Education and NEA Jurupa. And I really appreciate that beginning of some friendly discussions about things of mutual discussion, not bargaining related issues, but just things that are within our mutual interest in helping kids learn more and have better quality lives. I'd also like to express my appreciation of the movement that our administration has made in negotiations toward facilitating our goal of expanding our role in the educational decision-making process by proposing contract language regarding an administrator from Educational Services being present at our monthly contract meeting for 30 minutes to share ongoing and new and upcoming implementations, programs, educational programs, so that we as an association have the opportunity to give input on that. And I also appreciate that this has already been happening despite the fact that our tentative agreement has not yet been ratified. And I hope to find that our membership has ratified the tentative agreement after our votes are counted this coming Friday. I heard earlier today during the earlier session of the board that teachers' ownership of a district vision for student success leads to improved morale, happier teachers. And I think we all agree with that. And yeah, we believe that happy employees make better working conditions, and better working conditions for us leads to better outcomes for students. According to where is this? As you may or may not know, there are more teachers are quitting the profession than have historically happened, and more potential teachers are avoiding the profession of teaching. And an NPR education article titled, "What are the main reasons teachers call it quits?" Says that, quote, "Overall, teachers and researchers say educators want a bigger voice in school policy and plans. Empowered teachers are happier teachers." NEA Jurupa's goal, our goal, is genuine collaboration throughout the educational decision-making process so that we can help improve the quality of policies, procedures, and programs and how they are implemented, to help them be implemented more effectively and efficiently so that this will facilitate the best possible student learning and learning environments. Happier teachers will be a strong part of this improvement. And I think that's all I wanted to say. So thanks for listening, and thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Swan Van Lent. Next, we have Mr. David Santillan. He's from the Office of Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes, and I'll pass out the info here.
All right, good evening, Superintendent, Board of Trustees, and members of the community. My name is David Santillan from the Office of Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes, field representative for the cities of Jurupa Valley and Riverside. I'm just here to provide you with a quick legislative update from her office. The Assembly member has completed her first legislative year or session this year out of the 2-year cycle, and was successful in having 6 bills signed by Governor Brown. These 6 bills are outlined in the handouts that I have provided you with, and these jobs will create jobs, support our small businesses, improve the air quality in our region, provide veterans with the needed services, and assist seniors and their families to find long-term care. And one bill that I do want to highlight this evening in particular is AB 226, that would expedite the teacher credentialing process for spouses of active U.S. military service members. And we did receive support from the U.S. Marine Corps, and it is one of the 6 that the governor signed. And aside from the Assembly member's legislative package, she has been working hard to ensure that her district receives its fair share of resources from Sacramento. So I'd like to highlight some of those accomplishments. That the Assembly member did secure $5 million in yearly funding for veteran resource centers across the state's community colleges. $2 million for a new Veterans Resource Center at Norco College, $427 million for 5 key transportation projects in western Riverside County, $18 million for the Jurupa Area Recreation and Parks District to improve its facilities and current parks, and then working alongside Senator Roth, she reinstated millions of dollars in vehicle license fee revenue for Riverside County's 4 newest cities, Eastville and Jurupa Valley in particular in her district, that will fund public safety services. And lastly, several events coming up. The Assembly member will be having a select committee hearing and project unveiling at Norco Community College on October 25th from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. And a Veterans Recognition Program on October 28th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Marcha Reserve Bases to recognize some of our veterans. This event is in partnership with Congressman Takano, Senator Roth, and Assemblymember Medina. And lastly, we'll get to my last remark here. The Assembly member held an open house back in August, and we did collect over 700 backpacks. And I am proud to say that over 300 have been donated to elementary schools here in Jurupa Unified District, along with school supplies, notebooks, pencils, pens, erasers, folders, and coloring books. Some good activities there. And as we gear up for the next legislative session next year, beginning January 3rd, I do encourage you and any members of the community to reach out to our office, both in Sacramento or in the district, with any ideas that you'd like to see happen up in Sacramento next year. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, David. And, please thank the Assembly member for her public service and everything she's done for veterans and teachers and students. Thank you. And thank you, David, for you and your staff and everything, all her staff for all the great work you're doing. Okay. Anyone else would like to come up and speak? I don't have any more speaker cards. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, on to administrative reports and written communications. First one, School Facilities Program Report. Dr. Hanson.
Good evening, Board of Education. I'd like to give you a facilities update for this new school year. A lot of the information has been shared with the newsletter that was sent out district-wide, but there are some updates in this particular presentation. So some of the status updates for the various projects that are taking place throughout the district. Projects that are currently underway or under construction: Del Sol Academy, Ina Arbuckle modernization, Mission Bell Elementary modernization phase 1, which included the office, the new MPR, and the renovation of the library, or the old MPR into the library. Jurupa Valley High School Innovation Center phase 1, which is a portion of the C wing. The second phase will be coming around the corner. And then Rubidoux High School is under modernization as well. Upcoming projects: Glen Avon modernization. At this particular time, we are looking at starting this project early spring, this summer. Mission Bell Phase 2, we're preparing to go out and bid that portion of the work, which is basically the classroom modifications, modernizations. And then Jurupa Valley High School Innovation Center Phase 2, which we're also preparing to bid that portion of the work as well. And then West Riverside Elementary, which is a little bit further down the road, probably not until the 2019 school year. The projects that are currently under design and have been placed on hold after Prop 51 passed and the governor stalled on issuing bonds. With that measure, these projects are currently on hold. They are still being preliminarily designed right now, but they have been placed on hold. Troth Street and Jurupa Middle High School, as well as entertaining Rubidoux Concert Hall and Performing Arts Theater at Rubidoux High School. So these are just some pictures that show the ongoing progress. Del Sol Academy, up on the right there, you can see that if you were to go out there today, the entire school has been completely framed and roofed. The pictures on the bottom are more current. Starting to wrap the building, preparing for plaster. The interiors are being sheetrocked, and the one on the bottom right is a picture of the MPR, the inside of the MPR. Ina Arbuckle is well underway. That, again, is replacing the old office, will become the new library, bringing the library and the media centers to the front of the campus. A new office will be constructed, new kindergarten classrooms, and then modernization of the permanent buildings. Mission Bell, as Mr. Garcia had stated, the office and the MPR have been framed and roofed, and so they are moving along quickly as well. We anticipate the goal is to move that office in over Christmas break. So move them out of the interim office, occupy the new office. The MPR should be finishing up shortly thereafter. And once we're able to occupy the MPR, we will begin renovating the old MPR into the library, as well as start on the classrooms. So we're trying to speed up the timeline on this project to complete, rather than complete in December of 2018, to complete by the end of the summer, this upcoming summer. So we'll keep the foot on the pedal for that one. Jurupa Valley Innovation Center, this is phase 1, so this is a portion of the C wing. This will have laser cutting, CNC machining, welding, simulated welders, 3D printing, a variety of different activities that will support the STEM program at Jurupa Valley High School. As I mentioned before, we are now preparing to bid the second portion, which will essentially house the BIDA Academy, the Building Industry and Technology Academy, as well as some agri-science classrooms and computer lab. So that will be following. We think this project will be done by the end of this month. We will occupy this space when we come back from Christmas break. Furniture's been purchased and we'll get everything moved over the break so that they can start in this new facility when they come back from Christmas. Rubidoux High School, again, this is an encapsulation of the entire campus, as well as modernizing the 1200 and the 1000 wing. The 1000 wing consists of three or four science classrooms, as well as a CTE video production lab and ASB room, and the 1200 wing are classrooms. So those two wings will be finished off. They were not included in the 2007 modernization, so they'll be finished off in this project here. Some of the issues that we come up with, and you may see on occasion with change order logs and what we talked about at the last board meeting, there's a lot of things that come up in the field. As you can imagine, these schools that are this old, some of the utilities when we get into the ground aren't holding up. They're starting to crumble. We also have, they're not always, the as-built that we have on the school sites aren't up to date, or they don't, the stuff that's supposed to be there isn't there, so it makes it difficult in the field. But those are some things that we come across as we get into construction, just to name a few. Mission Bell Modernization Phase 2, so this is just a timeline on where we stand. Again, we're preparing to bid this portion of the work. We'd like to get this started when we come back from Christmas break, to at least get going on the classrooms and then take over the old NPR and transform it into a library so that we can finish the entire school by the end of this school year. That's kind of our goal here. Innovation Center, Phase 2, again, it's kind of the same timeline as Mission Bell. We're finishing up Phase 1 over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll be starting just as we come back from Christmas. We're trying to take advantage of winter pricing. A lot of contractors at this point time in the year don't have a lot of work, and so a lot of summer work is being bid right now, and we're trying to get some contractors to get in early so that we can take advantage of lower pricing in the bid market. Glen Avon modernization, the plan at this time is to start this next summer, maybe even a little bit earlier, on the office and library construction. So we're preparing that bid package now, and then we'll be able to, when we sit down with our construction management firm, decide or strategize on how soon we can start that project, and so that we can prepare the site for those changes. West Riverside, again, is pushed out till the 2019 school year. And this consists of a new office off of 42nd Street, new parking lot, library, 10 new classrooms, including kindergarten classrooms, and then turning the old office into classrooms, and the historical building into a classroom space as well. Some of the other completed projects that we've had in the last couple months, the Parent Center is winding down. We're waiting on furniture, and I believe we will be having a ribbon cutting event on November 8th for that facility. Patriot High School restrooms and concession stand was completed a few weeks ago, just prior to the football season, so that they had access to that facility out on the field. CTE portables, we relocated a few portables from West Riverside Elementary to Rubidoux High School and Patriot High School to help support some of their CTE programs. Sunny Slope 2-story was completed a couple days before school started. It was a tight one on that one. We had to put some temporary furniture in there, but that facility is complete. And then the data center finished up about the same time. Proposition 51, if you recall, that passed on November 8, 2016. The board adopted a resolution in support of that proposition. That proposition generates $7 billion to K-12 schools. I think it was a total of $9 billion. $2 billion was set aside for community colleges. At this point in time, based on some of our studies and applications that we have submitted to the Office of Public School Construction, we are sitting eligible for approximately $45 million based on the projects that we're doing now. And unfortunately, until the governor decides to move forward on selling and issuing bonds, we don't have access to those dollars. So we're hoping, the word in Sacramento is that he probably won't move on it. We're hoping that when the new governor comes in, that they will move forward on that. But we could be eligible anywhere between 40 and high $40 million in grants coming back to us. That all depends on our student enrollment. Those numbers go up and down. So this is a snapshot of the projects that we have submitted to OPSC, the Office of Public School Construction. We have submitted applications as if the money's coming so that we can get ourselves in line for those dollars coming back to us. So this is a snapshot of those projects, what the state grant, what our district match will be, and what the state grants will be. This is a slide just to show where we stand. So an example is Del Sol Academy. There's 2 applications submitted. We're sitting in line at number 270 of 525 applications. Our second application, because the changes that were made in Sacramento, or not with Sacramento, but with the Prop 51, some of the negotiations that took place, there were a few changes that were made to the former program, and one of those changes were that you have to submit eligibility at the time of the application. So because we submitted a while ago before those changes were made, we resubmitted and actually qualified for about 10 more classrooms. So it upped our eligibility a little bit. Sunny Slope is number 478 of 525, and then so those are new construction dollars. Modernization funding applications on the right there shows our position at this point in time. So this is just a snapshot of the Measure E dollars. We issued Series A and Series B back in 15. Series A was 2015, and Series B was earlier in this school year, or this calendar year. Approximately $96 million were issued. We've spent about $51 million. 35 additional million are encumbered or under contract at this time. So the total committed of that $96 million is about $86.6 million. So leaving in a balance about $9.3 million. The next line shows the dollars that are coming back in to reimburse some of these projects. So we have CFDs out there that are contributing to some of these projects. So when those what happens is we front the money with EE dollars, and then we reimburse ourselves with the CFD dollars that are sitting in a bank outside of the general fund. When those dollars come back in, our true balance is about $19.8 million of the first 2 issuances. Prop 39 energy efficiency projects. These are some of the projects that were completed under Prop 39. 45 HVAC units were replaced, 2 high school swimming pools. Those are the drives, the frequency drives, 1,700 exterior lighting upgrades, gym lighting in 2 of the high schools, and emergency lighting backup systems. Phase 2, we did interior lighting. 56 transformers were replaced at about 13 different sites. These are some of the projects that were completed by our maintenance and operations staff throughout the summer and are currently underway. Security gates, if you recall, a couple of board meetings ago, you approved the bid for security gates. We are going through the district and trying to identify those gates that sit at the front of campus or that are heavily used during evacuation drills. Right now, there's some gates that have chained padlocks around them, and so it makes it difficult to issue multiple keys to individuals or school site staff. So we're trying to go through and replace a lot of those gates to the panic hardware where individuals can push out of the campus and evacuate safely, but a staff member's key will open up the gate. So it eliminates having gate keys and having some of those issues. So we worked that out, and we are under that process right now. Those gates are being installed as we speak, 17 different gates. They did some new roofing at 3 different elementary schools. You'll see that tonight. Notice completion for that. Flooring was installed at a couple of schools. Rustic Lane got the entire campus was refloored there with carpet tile. New paint at PAM, the Pacific Avenue Academy of Music. Starting to slowly go through some of the landscaping and replacing with drought-tolerant landscape. Playgrounds, multiple playgrounds were replaced, and multiple tracks were installed at various elementary and middle schools. This is just a snapshot of the work orders that were completed for the school year through July. July till now, July 2016. So the school year in a month, roughly almost 13,000 work orders were completed in various areas there. So again, it's an excellent opportunity for me to give a shout out to our maintenance and operations staff and department, all the work that's being done at our schools to ensure that our campuses are safe, clean, and a wonderful environment for our teachers to be able to educate our students. This is a snapshot of the cost avoidance that we've received over the years with our energy management program. As you can see that we continue to have a cost avoidance to our utilities, which is always exciting. So that's facilities in a nutshell. I'm sure I could spend a lot more time talking about it, but I'm probably the only one that gets really excited about it. So.
Thank you, Dr. Hess. Any comments? Yeah.
I have a question. You were on Glen Avon Elementary School Modernization Project. I don't think you mentioned it, but it does say on a note here that recently plans were drawn to include solar panels. Are there did that school not have solar panels before?
Yeah, that's a good question. There aren't solar panels at that school site, and when the architect submitted the plans, it included a solar structure. And what we wanted to do originally was utilize Prop 39 dollars for that solar structure, but if we would have waited, then we wouldn't have been able to close out the Prop 39 dollars. So what we did is we closed out Prop 39 and got a deductive change order. I think you guys approved that a few months ago during the summer for over $700,000. That will basically come back into the Glen Avon budget to be able to construct that solar structure later with the project.
Do the other elementary schools have solar?
Some of them do, not all of them.
Is that a plan in our energy? Because I know that the schools have, the high schools and the middle schools have the solar panels over their parking area. So is that something we will maybe at the end of this whole thing go back again and then do solar?
We might reevaluate it. It really comes down to the numbers with our energy, what we're utilizing, because we have the solar farms at Mission Middle and Nueva Vista. Sometimes it doesn't benefit us in terms of cost avoidance, that it does to build or construct the structures. So it just depends on the geographical region and what we're already pulling off the grid.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments? Just want to say, Dr. Hanson, thank you for the presentation, very detailed. It's quite impressive. I looked at the roughly 28 work orders a day over the last 15 months, and that's a great job for the team. And I know some of these projects have been taking a while. I mean, Measure E was passed 3 years ago, and so, I mean, even I think we sometimes wonder, when's the work going to get done? And all of a sudden, you know, like Mission Bell's a good example. A lot of infrastructure, a lot of digging. It took a while to get to the point where we got to actually build those structures. So thank you and the team again for a good job. Okay, moving on to the next item, 5B, report of the results of local performance indicators for Priority 1, appropriately assigned teachers, access to curriculum-aligned instructional materials, and safe, clean, and functional school facilities, and Priority 2, implementation of state academic standards for California Accountability Dashboard. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. we've talked in the past, as recently as the last board meeting, about the different indicators that make up the state's accountability system. And as you know, there are 11 indicators. There are state indicators and local indicators. The state indicators are chronic absenteeism, suspension rate, English learner progress, graduation rate, college and career readiness index, and CASP scores in both language arts and math. And those are the ones that we receive state populated data. We get those pies that indicate what the status is and what the change is. Tonight I'm going to talk about some of the local indicators, and there are 4, and they are the basic indicators, which are appropriately assigned teachers, instructional materials availability and facilities, and implementation of academic standards. The other 2, which I'll talk about at our next board meeting, are parent engagement and local climate survey. So these indicators are indicators where the state will give us either a met or a not met based on following through with their local control self-evaluation survey and presenting that information to the board. So in your supporting documents, you have the report, but I'm just going to go over the highlights pretty quickly. In priority 1, appropriately assigned teachers, curriculum-aligned instructional materials and facilities. Those are all monitored by the county as part of the Williams visits and monitoring that they do. And so the number of misassignments of teachers, of English learners, and teacher misassignments and vacant teacher positions is 0. So we're in good shape there. The number of students without access to standards-aligned instructional materials is 0. So we're in good shape there. And the number of identified instances where facilities do not meet the good repair standard is also 0. So we're in good shape there. I would add just there's a little notation that 1/3 of our facilities are 50 years or older, and they're in need of modernization, but thanks to Measure EE and our outstanding, fantastic facilities department, a lot of that work is happening and in the planning stages, so we're in good shape there as well. In terms of priority 2, the implementation of state academic standards, when it comes to implementing Common Core state standards, through the development of teacher-developed units of study along with priority standards and assessments, we are striving to provide high-quality instruction in that area for language arts and math. CTE courses have been revised and reflect the current CTE model. We provide support through our coaching staff development support. So we have instructional coaches that develop model lessons, that demonstrate instruction in their classrooms, collaborate, and provide feedback. And we work collaboratively with several providers to provide professional development, such as the CORE Collaborative, UCR, the California Science Project, and Riverside County Office of Education. We also know that some of our best instructional planning comes from our teachers working together and designing and evaluating their lessons and their student achievement data. Additionally, we began in the 14-15 year to begin to adopt Common Core aligned textbook materials. And over time, we've managed to update nearly all of our AP texts, our language arts, and our math texts, K-12. And so we're continuing to do that with high-quality textbook materials. You'll see the AP Calculus text in your board agenda later tonight. And we're purchasing those materials in both digital and print formats so that our students have multiple ways to access that information. In addition, we have the Digital Gateway Initiative. We're all familiar with that, so I won't go into detail on that. But we're also, continuing to expand our visual and performing arts program with the strings program at the elementary level, with the PAM Academy of Music, and with additional resources for our middle and high school VAPA programs. So that's, in a nutshell, those 2 local indicators. And like I said, I'll be back the next meeting and we'll talk about the other 2 local indicators to complete that. And then as we move forward, this was a sort of a system that was just developed by the state, and they said got to be done by December. So that's why we're doing two at this meeting and 2 at the next meeting. But as the year progresses, we'll take 1 at a time and sort of delve a little deeper in detail into that information.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Dabrowski. And 5C, Williams Settlement Quarterly Uniform Complaint Report Summary. Mr. Dabrowski.
We had 0 complaints.
All right. Great job. Thank you. And 5D, Other Administrative Reports and Communications. Mrs. Elsig, anything to report? Okay. Thank you. On to the action session. So, item A, Adopt approved routine action items by consent. Okay, I think we need to refresh our system here. Make sure.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Chard,
I was looking for the item numbers.
Second.
second by Mrs. Bradford.
I did that already. That's why I was behind it.
All right, any questions, comments? Okay, call for the vote. Motion passes 4-0. Okay. All right. Item B, approve instructional materials for adoption. Mr. Dabrowski.
All right, thank you. We're recommending the Calculus AP second edition by Pearson, which will serve as our Calculus AB and Calculus BC textbook. As we discussed at the last meeting, this has gone through Calculus teachers revision and selection process, as well as Instructional Council, NEAJ, and was out for the last 2 weeks for public review. We did not receive any feedback from the public regarding the textbook, so at this point, we recommend that you approve the adoption of High School AP Calculus Instructional Materials Calculus AP Edition, second edition.
Thank you, Mr. Dabrowski.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Ortega,
Second.
second by Mrs. Chard. Any questions or comments? Okay, call for the vote. Motion passes 5-0. Item C, approve Del Sol Academy attendance boundaries. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. Administration is requesting approval to establish the attendance boundary area for Del Sol Academy and also to realign the attendance boundaries for Sky Country Elementary and Miraloma Middle Schools. Based on the current information, Del Sol Academy would open with approximately 518 TK through K students, and Sky Country would begin the 2018-19 school year with approximately 401 students, and Miraloma with approximately 769 students. In addition to the boundary enrollment, the district will allow a limited number of transfers to Del Sol Academy. These transfer requests will follow the normal and actually the board approved open enrollment policies, transfer policy. If there are more requests than we are able to approve, by board policy, a random selection process will be used to determine who will be admitted to Del Sol. Current students who live within the Del Sol boundary would not need to put in a transfer. They would automatically go to Del Sol and be in that attendance boundary. If a student wanted to remain at, say they were attending Sky Country, they wanted to remain at Sky Country, then they would need to enter an inter-district transfer request, because that would no longer be their homeschool boundary, and it would follow those same rules. We would make sure that we give priority to any student who wants to remain at their current school at that point. Also, in accordance with our open enrollment policy, transportation services are not provided for any student that is on an intra-district transfer. So our transportation services would be actually to the Del Sol Academy for those students that are eligible for transportation within that boundary. So at this time, administration recommends the board approve Del Sol Academy attendance boundaries.
Thank you, Mrs. Ford.
I'm sorry, I meant TK through 8th grade. Did I say TK through K?
I thought you said TK through K8, but I thought you meant.
But it is a TK through 8th grade school.
Okay.
A move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Chard,
Second.
second by Ms. Ortega. Any questions or comments?
I do have a question
Ms. Chard?
on the boundaries for the new school now. On the other side of the freeway, we have some that are they in Eastvale that may attend or?
Yes, so all of our current boundary area that is on the west side of the 15 freeway would be part of Del Sol.
Okay, and then the ones on the westbound. Now, are your based figures on the homes that are going in now, and what we anticipate they will hold, or what we know that are moving into those homes?
So the 518 figure that we're estimating, that is based on what we know now, and we're projecting what our TK Kinder enrollment would be for Del Sol, but it includes all the students that are in that boundary area currently that are attending our schools.
Okay. So it could go up if more.
Correct. If there's more TKK students, or if we actually have some students who are not currently attending our schools, but within that boundary area that have decide to attend Del Sol, it could be a higher number.
Are there any other housing tracts that will be going in after we open that will add to this school?
There are, and the school's capacity is at full build out, meaning when all of those developments build out, we anticipate that we would need capacity of 1,200, and the school's capacity is 1,288.
Wow. Okay. And we have a foreseeable amount of time when that might arrive? I mean, in other words, is it like 2, 3 years, 5 years?
I would say probably longer than that to have full build out in that entire area.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Mrs. Ford, so the 518, that's just what we project, people that are in the boundary.
Correct.
So, doesn't include what we expect for intra-district transfers?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. But we want to be cautious with intra-district transfers in the sense that we want to ensure that because we do know new development will be coming into that area, and so we want to make sure that we have enough capacity for it to handle that new development. And at the same time, we don't want to displace an intra-district transfer. If a student transfers in, we would like them to be able to stay there their entire K-8 career.
All right. Otherwise, everyone wants to go there. I guess you kind of, and the people that end up living there, they're not going to be able to go, right?
There wouldn't be any capacity at the school for the in-boundary students, correct.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's call for the vote. Motion passes 5-0. Item D, adopt resolution number 2018/16, authorize a temporary transfer of funds held in any appropriate fund or account to the general fund for 2017-2018. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. We sometimes are in need to do this during the year, and so we bring this to the board. We are requesting that, let me back up, sorry about that. The district doesn't receive all of their funding at one time. So the state does what they call apportionments to us. And so we receive funding percentages of that full apportionment throughout the school year. There's often times, or there may be times when the district is waiting for some of that funding to come in, but we still need to make sure that we are making our payments and meeting our obligations. So what this resolution allows us to do is it allows us to do a temporary transfer from a fund outside of the general fund to be able to cover any of those obligations, and then once the funding is received, we then will be able to transfer back to the fund that we basically borrowed from or transferred from. So this is no additional funding, it's no cost to the district, but it is required to be a resolution that the board approves for us to do so. So administration recommends the board adopt resolution number 2018/16, authorize the temporary transfer of funds held in any appropriate fund or account to the general fund.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Chard,
Second.
second by Mrs. Ortega. Any questions or comments? So Mrs. Ford, so do we have to do another resolution to transfer it back, or does this cover?
This would cover it, because this tells you in the resolution that we will actually have to basically transfer it back within the school year with some leeway. If it's towards the latter part of the year, we would be able to transfer back within 120 days at the start of the next year.
Okay, thank you. We have a first and a second. Any other questions, comments? Okay, call for the vote. Motion passes 4-0. Bless you. Item E, adopt resolution number 2018/17, resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District authorizing the issuance of 2017 special tax refunding bonds, Zone 2, for Community Facilities District Number 4 of the Jurupa Unified School District in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $3 million, and approve certain documents and taking certain other actions in connection therewith thereto. Mrs. Ford.
Was that long
That's a lot
enough?
to say.
Administration, in conjunction with its finance team, which is made up of Cooperative Strategies, Stiefel Nichols and Company, and Nixon Peabody, will periodically review the district's community facilities districts and any outstanding bonds to determine if it would be in the district's benefit to enter into a refunding of those bonds. And after doing that review, we determined that refunding of CFD number 4, Zone 2, there were 2 zones in that CFD, will enable the district to take advantage of the current market interest rates, because these bonds were back from 2005, so the interest rates were much different, much higher at that time. The current market rates, and will also be able to realize an average annual savings of approximately $24,000. So administration does recommend the board adopt resolution number 2018/17, resolution of the Board of Education of the Jurupa Unified School District authorizing the issuance of 2017 special tax refunding bond Zone 2 for Community Facilities District Number 4. And I'm going to stop there.
Okay.
And
Thank you,
so
Ms.
on,
Ford.
because my voice is about ready to just go.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Ortega,
Second.
second by Mrs. Chard. Any questions or comments? No. Okay, we'll call for the vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mrs. Ford. Thank you, Rachel, for coming tonight. Okay, last item, board member comments or committee reports and comments. Mrs. Chard.
The only committee report that I have is Mrs. Bradford and I sit on the subcommittee, facilities subcommittee, and we had a meeting a week ago, and Dr. Hansen gave us background information on what is going on in the district as far as facilities. We had lots of questions for him, really gave it to him. But he had an answer for everything, and showed us some of the new things that are going on. We got to tour the parent building, and it is really nice. It's going to be fantastic once it gets fully running with everything. They didn't have the furniture in there yet, and a few of the other little things, but I'm excited to see it on the grand opening when we have that. And the parents are going to enjoy it, and it'll be good for the community too, if there's anything that parent activities that they need to have here. for those parents, and the area for the kids. The kids are going to enjoy that. They're going to be the ones that convince the parents, I think, to come to the building once they see it. It's a nice bright color, so we're looking forward to giving our district an upbeat a little bit here with the new colors and new styles around the district. But it was very enlightening. Some of the questions we had were probably not so important, but just curiosity, I guess. Woman's curiosity, probably. But it's looking really good. Thank you, Dr. Hansen, for a very informative meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Chard. Mrs. Bradford.
This is a case of I'm with Mrs. Chard what she said, but I would add the ribbon cutting for the Parent Center is going to be on November 8th at 11 a.m. Is that correct? And it is so cool. Do come over and visit. Be proud of it. Be true to your school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bradford. Ms. Ortega.
Well, our voices did go on vacation, so we're trying to bring back our voices. It's like we need them. But I attended last weekend the Unity Conference with California Latino School Board Associations. It was so beautiful to see, a couple counties, I want to say, San Diego County, San Bernardino County, and obviously our county were there in representation of our students and how we can create a greater impact in our Latino, not only our Latino students, but in general. I felt like we weren't being inclusive just to the Latino students. We were including everybody, and it just was so nice to see these three counties come together and see how we can all support each other. And I would love to see more of our board members to also be there and representing our school district, because we obviously have a lot of our students who need that support, and for us to understand what are the trends. We talked a lot about DACA, the situation that's going on with DACA right now, and obviously our biliteracy and bilingual services that are they showed us numbers from 10 years ago up to now, and it's just amazing what school districts have adopted and policy, and all that has taken place with school board members being in sync with our students and the needs of those that are less fortunate. So I was really blessed to be there in representation of Jurupa, and obviously always the youngest to board members, so I always get the finger. It's like, hey, you're too young, but it's really nice to be there. And we also did the 15th annual educational summit, and we really were exposed to a lot of the excellent keynote speaker that talked about how we should be disturbers, I think it was, that how we are just so common with what's going on in our communities, how we need to interrupt things when they're not okay. And he did that invitation, said more than programs, we need people who are willing to serve and make changes in these programs. And we were so proud that we had two programs that were being recognized that day. So these programs and our staff fill us up with pride when we get to talk to other districts, and they're asking questions. How did you guys do it? And the youth corps obviously was there was a lot of people in attendance in that in wanting to see what their district can do as well. And last, we attended the Washington Report. One of my main goals that morning, was to get a picture with our senator and a selfie, not only a picture, but a selfie, because again, we're millennials, so we're into the selfies. And I just went up to her and we were talking. The only question I feel like she also got educational related was the DACA too. And then she encouraged a lot of the younger women and leader to lead and to when there's possibilities to start local and policy making. She encouraged a lot of our youth to do that. And so when I went up to her, I told her, thank you, you know, I'm one of the youth that came back to my community and is doing awesome stuff. So she said, and then she's all like, women power, and she's like, yes, women power. So she's also going back for re-election, and she just had said that. And then also for the Latino conference, I got to meet and shake hands with our next future governors. So you start seeing a lot of, you know, local policy to being connected to our legislators. Thank you to David, who has just been, you know, having those conversations with us and seeing how we can better our programs in our schools and obviously to impact our student success. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortega. Just kind of piggybacking on what Ms. Ortega said there, and I mentioned this, I think, at the last board meeting, that, you know, we get a lot of phone calls, you know, from folks that are campaigning, and, you know, usually they call you at dinner time, and so, you know, it's, you know, give them their talking points, especially about education, and, you know, put it back to them, you know, so that at least we can get our voice out there. And again, thanks to Assemblymember Cervantes for all the work that she's done in the area here, and we really appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to the Parent Center. Hopefully I'll try to make the ribbon cutting, but I think that's going to be a great addition to the district here. And that's about all I have. Okay, so I'll be there. Okay. So I must have missed the memo. But, okay. So anyway, at least I know about it. So. And that's all I have. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and we appreciate you coming out to see us. Meeting adjourned.